They get into thinking that they know something that now they have to teach others, particularly their friends and family. And then they get really upset because their friends and family, particularly many friends and family, the whole Course in Miracles, it's an illusion. It's such an affront to what they believe that it's not really kind to try and convince them or think that they're wrong. And that's living in the 1% intellectually, and the 99% hasn't showed up on the radar yet.
Yeah, this could be, that little thing right there could save you a lot of heartache. Because I know that when I was working with the Course in the early years, I was so enthusiastic and so excited. And sometimes I would pop around to Course groups and I would get more in the joy than ever. And then I would come back and I would go visit my parents. And when you're so enthusiastic and you just are so happy, and then they ask you what's going on with you or what's happening and this and that, you just want to just spill the whole thing out. And then I tried that a few times, and then at one point my mother just smiled and looked at me and she just said, "You need to find other people to share this with." And I could feel the ego wanting to react to it, and then I thought, no, that's actually the Holy Spirit speaking through Mom. That was actually the Holy Spirit saying that, and I did. I just thought, that is absolutely true, that the Course says that we need to let Jesus and the Holy Spirit be in charge of where to bestow the miracles, you know. And I thought, this is exactly what this lesson is, you know. I'm going to be taken to meet a lot of people in a lot of places, and I'm going to be shown and guided where I can share my joy and let it be done in appropriate ways, mainly through my attitude and not through preaching to people or trying to correct people or teach people. I had no clue that it would be 28 countries and tens of thousands of people at that point. That would have been a bit staggering, but
that's the bait and switch.
That was the bait and switch. It has started with Mom. You need to find other people to share this with, and I'm like, okay, I totally get that, and I did. And now, when I go back and visit her, we have wonderful, joyful times. But we're not talking about the metaphysics of A Course in Miracles. It's just sharing this deep sense of profound love and joy. And then when I go other places and they ask me questions, then the Spirit does the speaking. But most of the people I meet around the world, when I'm in planes and cars and trains and buses and taxi cabs and whatever, rest areas, grocery stores, you know, restrooms, none of these are not people that are into metaphysics, that are like saying, now tell me what level confusion is, as you're standing at the urinals in the restroom. You know, I've never had a level confusion question from the next stall at the toilet in the restroom. You know, it just doesn't happen. But there are times when small groups of people, like we were saying with your publicist Chris, you know, she was saying, like, how can you do this to 30 people at a time? And sometimes that's a big number.
Yes.
30
absolutely.
people. But you know, it's just the way that it goes, you know, and we really wouldn't have it any other way, because the Spirit's given it to us.
It's true. I was saying that when I first started out sharing with other folks, there were times when I would drive hours and there would be one person who registered for the workshop, or 3 people who registered for the workshop. And I feel very fortunate because I started from that place of, I'm the one who's learning here. It's not about how many people are showing up for me. It's how am I showing up for me, and what have I got to share? And so I think realizing that you will be led and guided to the perfect place, and if you think you're in the wrong place, it might be just you're not thinking correctly about where you are right now. And your friends and family have not asked you to teach them a curriculum on the intellectual level, but it's the living it. Like you were talking about the people pleasing, and as you were talking, I was thinking about one of the biggest challenges that people have is they give to get. They give to get. And that's what people pleasing is. It's giving an appearance of something. It's giving something that you may not actually really like to give in order to get something. You're giving to get approval. You're giving to get good opinion, you're giving to get acceptance. And just think about it. Would you want to enter into an intimate relationship with somebody who was going to present themselves as always giving to you in order to get something from you? Because that is highly manipulative, it's highly controlling. Is that special relationship, that kind of version of a special relationship, something that really is going to make you think, yes, I'd like to spend the rest of my life doing that with them. They'll give to get, and I'll give to get, and we'll always be resentful. Yes!
Yeah, and don't be discouraged if what we're describing here is the predominant model on the planet.
Right.
You may be thinking like, well, actually, all my relationships are
like
that way. Are you poking fun at all my relationships? No, we're not really poking fun at it, but we're just saying there's another way. And we had to go through the same thing.
Yes.
You know, because we've been through unfulfilling relationships. We've been through relationships where we gave and gave and gave and tried to live up to an ideal or a role or an expectation. I mean, most couple relationships, as well as parent-child and employer-employee, we could go through the whole gamut.
Yeah, friends.
There's huge amount of expectations there, and all we're saying is this need not be. And if you're just even willing to move in this direction, maybe it's just with start working with one particular relationship where you start to feel a swirl of potential where that could actually happen.
Yes.
And then you work with that and it starts to expand and you go, whoa, if it can work with this one, maybe it can work with all the rest. And that's all we're talking about right now is we've been practicing this for many years, very sincerely too. This is not like this is not a little side thing that we do, you know, moonlighting on the side, oh, let's work on our relationships. You know, this is like the core of what we focus on every single day.
Minute by minute.
Minute by minute, second by second, we're just going about this. And then what benefits, you know, because, you know, when people even say things to me like, are you in a relationship or something, you know, that starts to be funny. When do you define in and out? You know, it's more like we're kind of in a continuous relationship inspired by the Spirit that has no beginning and ends, and yet that's just not the way that people believe and interact. You know, that seems to be like major categories, whether you're in a relationship or not, whether you're coupled off or you're single. I guess for Jennifer and I, you know, we are in a relationship with Spirit and in a purpose that excites us, that thrills us, that we just love to talk about, and we love to just be in too. We're out here in nature, and we've just spent the last couple of days basking in this presence.
Yes.
And so, you know, are you in a relationship? We're in a relationship with a calling, with a purpose, and maybe that's why we seem to have ministries, even though we don't even know where they begin and where they end. You know, it's just too vast to even try to define.
In a sense, we don't really know what we're doing, but we know what the motivation is. So we take that motivation into whatever's going on because we get new opportunities, and that it's all of a sudden it's take a right turn here, and you thought you were going to go over here, but you go there. And what David's saying is so vital to understand that really you only have one relationship. And if you start to treasure the one relationship that you have, and sometimes I'll say, be willing to be the love of your life. Be willing, instead of looking for someone to show up and be the love of your life, you be the love of your life. And then you start to recognize that there's literally no separation between you and everyone you meet. So then everyone and everything can be the love of your life. You have a life of love. And it'll look totally different than maybe what you thought you wanted before. But the difference is that you're enjoying what you have instead of thinking that what you don't have is what you need to make you happy. You can actually be in the happiness right now. And it's a moment by moment thing. It never stops being a moment by moment thing. And it's so challenging when you are on a track where you think, you know, that in the future, if you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing now to get to that place in the future, then in the future you'll be happy. That train ride it's a never-ending train ride. It's a painful train ride. And the good news is that the more you commit to it, the faster you will give up. Because you will realize it's not possible.
Yeah.
If you like this video, please let me know. Hit the like button. Make a comment. Share at Facebook. I love you. Thank you.